I never expected that a single night could change everything I believed about my marriage. Laura had been my partner for 6 years, my confidant, my anchor, the one I thought I could trust with my deepest vulnerabilities. We had shared apartments, late-night drives, and countless small traditions that made our life together feel like a quiet, unshakable bond. But one evening I discovered the truth. She had been seeking excitement elsewhere, betraying the very foundation we had built. It began with subtle signs, late-night texts, unexplained outings, the sudden warmth in her smile reserved for moments I wasn't included in. I ignored them at first, convincing myself that I was overreacting, that love required patience and trust. But as days passed, the hints grew bolder, harder to dismiss. And then one night I found the undeniable evidence. Photos, messages, and conversations that revealed what I had feared all along. Laura had been chasing thrill at the cost of us. I didn't yell. I didn't storm out. I simply sat there, letting the weight of betrayal settle in. My heart ached, but I didn't allow anger to cloud my judgment. I had learned long ago that reacting impulsively only complicates situations. So I waited, watching, thinking, and planning my next move carefully. The next morning, Laura came to me with her usual smile, unaware that I already knew. She started speaking about her day, laughing at small things, acting as if nothing had changed. But I remained quiet, my expression calm, almost unnervingly so. She hesitated, sensing that something was off. "Are you okay?" she asked finally, trying to pierce the bubble of composure I had wrapped myself in. I simply nodded, letting silence answer her. That evening I made my decision. I wasn't going to beg her to stay. I wasn't going to plead for apologies or explanations. Instead, I told her calmly, "Laura, I need some space. I think it's best if I leave for a while." Her smile faltered, confusion flickering across her face. "Leave? What are you talking about?" she asked, a nervous edge creeping into her voice. "I need to think, to process this. I can't be here while knowing what I know. We're done for now. I'll see you later, but you need to understand why I'm leaving," I said, my voice steady, unwavering. I packed a small bag and left our apartment quietly, feeling a strange mix of heartbreak and relief. For the first time in years, I was acting out of self-respect, not fear of loss. The streets were quiet as I drove away, my mind replaying every detail of the betrayal. Laura had sought excitement, thrill, and novelty, but in doing so, she had underestimated the consequences of her actions. I wasn't naive, and I wasn't going to allow my emotions to be toyed with. Leaving wasn't a punishment. It was clarity. It was the only way to show her that actions have consequences, and that trust, once broken, cannot be ignored. Over the next few days I stayed away. I didn't call, I didn't respond to messages, and I didn't check in. Part of me ached to hear her voice, but a larger part knew that absence would be the message she needed more than any confrontation. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she had done, to understand that excitement at the expense of love leaves nothing but emptiness. Then on the third night, a knock at my door shattered the fragile calm I had built. I opened it to find Laura, tears streaming down her face, her hair disheveled, hands trembling. She didn't speak at first. She simply looked at me, vulnerability written across every line of her face. I stepped aside silently, letting her in, and for a moment we just stood there, the tension thick enough to choke on. Finally, she whispered, I made a mistake. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I never wanted to hurt you." Her words were raw, unpolished, and for the first time completely honest. I could see the fear in her eyes, the fear of losing me, of realizing that some bridges once burned can never be rebuilt. I didn't rush to respond. I let her sob quietly on the couch, feeling the truth of her regret. My heart ached, yes, but there was also a strange clarity, a sense of power that came from not reacting in desperation. I had left her, I had shown her that betrayal has weight, and now she was finally confronting the reality she had ignored. When she finally looked up at me, her eyes pleading, I said simply, "Laura, actions speak louder than apologies. You wanted excitement, you chased it, and now you see the cost. If you want to stay, it won't be because I forgive blindly. It will be because you earn it by proving that trust can be rebuilt, not by hoping I forget." Laura nodded, tears still running down her cheeks, but something in her eyes had changed, a recognition of the truth she could no longer deny. She had wanted the thrill, the escape, the excitement outside our marriage, and now she faced the consequences of that choice. I stayed calm, letting her absorb the weight of her actions without interruption. Silence, I knew, could speak louder than any lecture or argument. "I can't promise that it will be easy," I said finally, my voice steady, controlled. "Trust doesn't return overnight. And just because you regret it now doesn't erase the hurt. You broke the foundation of what we had. You need to understand that before we even talk about moving forward." Her voice trembled, soft and sincere. I know I've ruined things, and I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. I just can't lose you." I studied her for a long moment, weighing her words, the desperation and honesty mingling together. There was no anger in my tone, no rage in my posture. I wasn't punishing her. I was offering a chance for redemption, a way to prove she could respect the love and trust that she had almost destroyed. "You'll have to show me," I said simply, "not just with words but with actions. Because apologies without change are meaningless." Over the next few hours we talked carefully, honestly, without interruption. Laura admitted everything: the lure of excitement, the casual deceit, the selfish choices she had made. And I listened, not to punish, but to understand, to gauge whether the person I loved still existed beneath the mistakes. The vulnerability she displayed was real, the regret was palpable. But more than that, it revealed a willingness to face the consequences, a recognition that trust is earned, not given. By the time the night ended, the air between us had shifted. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't fixed. But it was honest. Laura clung to the understanding that love and trust are fragile, that excitement cannot replace connection, and that betrayal carries a cost far greater than momentary thrill. And as I watched her cry, tears of remorse, of understanding, of hope, I realized that sometimes leaving is not the end but the beginning. The beginning of clarity, the beginning of accountability, and perhaps the beginning of a second chance. That night, I slept not with bitterness, but with a quiet sense of resolution. Laura had sought excitement. I had left. But when she came back crying, she learned that love is not a game, and trust is not a given. It is fragile, earned, and when broken requires courage to rebuild, if it can be rebuilt at all.